artist. I'm going to continue here. We kind of got interrupted in the last video with we were working on this little piece here. Something I wanted to we got left out last time is the reason I started figuring it out, what size I needed for the mat and a frame wise, and then drawing in the square so I make sure that gets filled in. And I can show you the reason why I started doing that. Is quite a few years ago, I did a piece here that I didn't do that with. And so then what happened was we put it into print and started selling prints of it. And because I didn't pay attention to what size it was gonna be, and now when we mat it, we got to be real careful because everything doesn't get covered, at the edge of the mat. And what I'm saying, and if you straight edge that, what happens is when I did the original drawing is I didn't take these two boards on this side far enough over, so the mat has to move into here to cover that. And then it's worse on the other side. See, because I just ran it out wild, and this is where the edge of it should have been, and I didn't continue these boards on this drawing out far enough to cover that. So we got to be real careful when this gets matted because of the size of the frame it goes into, and then you take into the account of the mat size. It needed to be over here a little more, so we had to make a thicker mat to cover that. So it would save you a lot of trouble if you kind of figure that out beforehand, and then you do your drawing that so you don't have that problem. Let me set this aside. And then the other thing we was talking about when we were working on this one is I was talking to you about that I ripped my sheets out of my sketchbook because what happens if you want to do it in your sketchbook, that's fine, and leave them in there. My suggestion to you, though, is to get a thin piece of this plexiglass, or something that's hard, and put it under your sheet you're drawing on and between them, because when you get into, trying to get your darks in there and your soft leads, it will accept the darkness better if you're on a hard surface rather than on a thick notebook of drawing paper. And then if you push too hard on the piece you're drawing on, it starts wrinkling the pages underneath. So I'd just suggest to you that you either put something harder underneath that page that you're drawing on, and then you can leave it in your sketchbook, or take them out and work on them individually. Myself, I like to take them out, and that way it saves all the problem of that, and I don't have to worry about, like this plexiglass making a wrinkle in the edge of the page. So that's just some suggestions from my end. Now on this, I was looking at this when we did, and taking into account that the mat is going to be down in here when this is matted and framed. And eventually, this is going to run into a tree, or be a tree. So what I did was I have the top of it, and it'd be right at the edge of the mat. So I'm going to shorten that up a bit. We got our knead eraser here. We'll just kind of blot that out a little bit there, so that don't. And you can get by with, if you want to do that, you can run it off, but you need more of the tree off of the top of the pitcher, instead of just the tip. So my feeling is that it doesn't quite finish it out if you have, just a small portion of it that's going off of the image. If you want to do that, you would need a bigger tree and to go up here, and then it works. So anyway, there's that on that, and let's see what we can do here. I'm going to get rid of how defined this line is. We'll just kind of blot that with that knead eraser. Now a lot, and when I was young, all I had was, like a regular school pencil, and they're HB lead. And if that's what you're drawing with, that's fine. It's hard to get, without changing leads, it's hard to get your lights and your darks in there. But if that's what you have, that's what you need to work with, until you get more into it. And then, you got to spend more money on art supplies. I know when I was a kid that for Christmas and birthdays and whatever, I always liked to get art supplies for Christmas and birthdays and whatnot, or get money, because then I would run down to the hardware store or the art supply store, and I could buy art supplies. So what I'm doing here is I got an H lead pencil. Now, these pencils, they're made in Germany. And they're Faber-Castell pencils. Let me see if I can find one with the whole name on it. Yeah, you can. Let me see if I can get it for you. There it is. Fabercastell. And I get them from UTech Art Supplies. The reason I use these pencils is they are absolutely the only ones that I've found that I can be happy with. They have more consistent lead in them that kind of stays the same. A lot of drawing pencils that I've tried and used over the years seem like they have hard spots in the lead. And so you'll be drawing along, pretty soon it feels like you ran across a rock, and it's not making marks, it's making scratches, and really didn't care for that. So kept trying to find some, and these are the best ones I've been able to find. I've used them for a lot of years. So that's what I have now. We're going to make this so looks like it's up in the mountains of Colorado. I'm a Colorado artist, and so I do a lot of scenery from Colorado. I suggest to you that whatever you're drawing, that you do your homework. Either know what you are drawing, what you're used to, or study it, And I think artists have, they look at the world a little different than everybody else. I've noticed. I don't know, I never thought about it before until, years ago. I noticed stuff that other people do not notice, and I think I've seen other artists do the same thing, and I think that's what they are. They start noticing little things that everybody else doesn't. Um, how the shadows come across something, or which angle something grows. Just little stuff that nobody else really pays attention to or thinks about, and artists do that. So anyway, what I suggest to you is, if you're not sure about what the subject that you're going to draw, study up on it. Look into it. Study if you got, whether it's an animal or whatever, study pictures of it, read about it, whatever you got to do to get yourself familiar with whatever you're drawing. And it doesn't really matter what it is, architecture, streets, cars, you never know what you're going to draw, but I just think the more you can know about it and you study the subject that you are drawing, the better off your art piece is going to come out. Now on the background here, you don't want, it's not real detailed, because as things get farther away, whether you're doing pencil or you're doing something in color, the color, if you're doing color, it gets bled out. There's not as much, it's not as brilliant as the foreground. Black and white, it'll be lighter than the foreground. You'll see, shadows on it, and but you don't see a lot of detail. Let's see. This one go up this way. If there's at any time that in these videos, if you got questions, or I guess you can either make a comment or whatever, you're not understanding something that I'm talking about or doing, feel free to make a comment on there, and I'll check them, and we can talk about it. and I'll do the best I can to answer it. So we start, now this one, I switched this right quick to an HB lead. And going this way, and you start making some a little taller and just giving indications, it'll start looking like, ridges of pine trees in the background. And just that's all you got to do is make it, the indication of that's what it is, so that and then it'll start taking shape here. So you don't want a lot, but you want a little bit there. And where you're going to notice it most is up here at Skyline, where the ridge is coming off of the mountains. Because then you start, if you go up, it's that way with anything, you start getting into, down the mountain, they start blurring together, but you can always see the skyline and you can see something up there. So you just got to give indications, and then, here and there, put some darker spots in that, there. And you don't want a real definite line. You want to break that up a little bit, and it'll look more realistic to you than just a hard line across there. So let's see, we're going to have another, we'll decide, but that might be we'll do a dead tree and a live tree here. It's going to have boughs over. So we're going to have this mountain that's going across this way. It's going to be showing a little bit here. And when it's all done, you may not notice it, but better throw something in there to, just in case. It's always easier to do it a little beforehand than to go back and do it after. I think this is going to end up taking a little longer than I even anticipated to do, so we'll just keep doing videos on this one, and we'll just see how it progresses. I've never been a real fast artist. I don't draw real fast. I don't paint real fast. It takes me quite a while to do a piece. So, and if that's the way you are, that's fine. I know a lot of artists can draw faster than I can. They can paint faster than I can. It just, the whole thing is you're the creator of it. So however it works for you, that's fine. You start getting into some stuff and like them quick draw competitions, and I've done that. And it's, I don't know, I always get real nervous at them, but, because they allow you so much time, and you have to have a finished piece by the time it's over. So them, I've done them, and it's helped a little bit with speed on some things, but I still have to watch how big I get one and my subject matter, because otherwise I run out of time even at them. So, and it's got to be drawn and done and finished and framed by the time that's quick draw is over. So, and it's a good experience. I mean, it's just I get real nervous about them. Okay, so there we go. Get back to H. This got you can go in there now. You can make your pencils last longer. Like me, I like to, because of detail, I like to keep my pencil as sharp as I can keep it on a lot of it. So what I do is I can make my pencils last longer by I got a thin or a pretty smooth piece of sandpaper, and I make one of these boards out of it. And then you take your pencil, let's see, and you just kind of rub it on there and turn it at the same time. And then make sure you wipe it off. I always wipe it on my leg. But it'll sharpen that, where's that? It'll sharpen that right back up to a very fine point. You can go up here and you can make a little, some little hatch marks, and it just gives the viewer an indication that there's, some heavier branches in there, or a trunk, or, whatever it is in the mountains. And you don't have to have a lot. Just kind of give that indication. Don't try to, get too carried away in there. When I was younger, I tried to detail the background as much as I did the foreground. Well, I found that doesn't work. It makes kind of for a very confusing piece of work. So now this down here at the bottom of that ridge got a little darker than I wanted. And so we'll take our knead eraser again, and you can go in there and you can just barely touch it, and it'll start lifting some of that dark out of that area. Just like that. I wanted a little bit lighter than what I got it. So now try to watch the time and keep these kind of, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes at a time, and we'll go through this. Now remember our lights over here. So it's coming across here, and it'll pick up on the top end. You start getting down into here with your light, and it shines more on this side than this side. So, you don't, again, though, you don't want it too dark. I'll give some indications of some trees standing up here. But whatever you do with your art, no matter your subject or what, it's yours. Just, it's yours to do with what you want. Now, you're always going to get them namesayers that tell you what you should be doing. And, I had other artists that, when I was younger, they would tell me, well, you need to be doing this and you need to be doing that. And some of it is right. Some of it really screwed me up. So you can't listen to everything. You have to try stuff and get a starting point and then see what works for you. And that's all it is. It's just, you can watch other artists and listen to them, and then if you want to try it, if it sounds like it makes sense to you, give it a try. If it doesn't work for you, then kind of throw that to the side and find something that does. Because what works for one will not work for the other. And this one's, it's the HB lead again. And I hope you folks keep coming back and watching. The progress it makes. Hopefully I got something that you can use, give you a starting point. Planning on covering a lot of different things, so just keep at them. I've watched, so I was kind of watching some of the other artists there on YouTube, and I watched other stuff when we was younger, and they'd start something like this, and then it would get edited, or the next time they came back, this was all done, and I always went, well, how did they do that part or this part or, whatever. So that's kind of why I want to work on it from start to finish and record the whole thing. And we'll talk our way through it. Because, sometimes I think things can get left out. It's like, well, how did you do that? So, and I don't know, maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, but that's what I'm planning on doing. I'd like to do. If you get bored with that, I guess you can leave me comments, and if there's too many of them, then we'll do something else. So, all right. Well, guys, I guess we're getting into that about 35 minutes of video here. I'm sure you guys got something else to do. I could sit here and mess with it, all day, but I'm sure you got stuff to do, so we'll break it down into another video and kind of give it a quit for right now. So hopefully you come back to the next one and we'll go again. So everybody have a wonderful day, and get them pencils out, keep going, and God bless.